It's awkward.
Well, oh, we're live. Okay.
Oh, there we go. Just a delay. Well, good morning, Keller High families. We apologize for that. We were waiting for our green light to let us know that the live stream was going, and I guess we're a little delayed. So we apologize for that. But good morning. Thank you for joining us for our second virtual coffee chat this morning. We appreciate you joining us, and thank you to our Keller High School PTSA. They sponsor our coffee chat every week, and they've provided coffee from scooters for our staff this morning, and we really appreciate that. It's always a good time that we do a similar format with our staff in the morning at 7:45 on these same Fridays. So it's always a good time to get everybody together, and then just a great opportunity to be able to share some information with our families as well. So you're welcome to ask some general questions in the chat box if you like. If you have questions that are specific to your student, we just ask that you reach out to your student's assistant principal, or you can reach out directly to me for confidentiality reasons. This is a recorded session, so that will be shared out with our families. So we just want to make sure that we're able to answer your questions in confidence about your specific situation. So it is hard to believe we are already 10 weeks into the school year already. I can't believe October, today is almost the last day of the month, and November is right around the corner. So things are definitely, the days are flying by, the fall semester is flying by. And while this year looks very different, can just continue to be proud of our staff for the ways that they continue to step up to the challenges that we face each day and meet the needs of our students, which is really what we're here for. They continue to amaze me as I've walked through classrooms and been in conversations with them on the ways that they're engaging our students, whether they're in person, remote, co-seat, quarantined. There's just a lot of moving parts and a lot of balls that our teachers are juggling right now. And I just truly appreciate all that they do every day. I appreciate your patience and the grace that you've afforded to us as we continue to work through this school year. Every day we learn new things, so we're just continuing to learn as we go, and just really appreciate all that you're doing as you come alongside and partner with us. So the kids and staff continue to do a great job wearing their masks and following our protocols. I'm just truly amazed the numbers of students that we have here on campus. We have about 68% of our kids here in person, so that's just over 2,100 kids, and then our staff is, around 200 here every day. And so a lot of folks in this building, and it's just amazing to me that the focus that they have on following our protocols, and I really, really appreciate that. That's just not something that we have to address a lot. And when we have to, the kids are very, very respectful and understand it. And so I really, really appreciate your support in that. Just very grateful for that. So in addition, we've had school pictures made, we've got our IDs on campus. So we're now back asking students to show IDs as they come in our building each day. We have a few folks that haven't had their pictures made yet, but we're working on that. And we do have temporary IDs for those kids that don't have their ID yet. But again, the kids have done a great job having those on them. We're working at getting students lanyards so they can be wearing them. And that will just continue to be an ongoing process as we go throughout this semester. And there are opportunities. I know some of our remote students weren't able to make days that we had pictures, or maybe you weren't comfortable having your student come on campus. So there are ways that they can get their school picture made so they can be in the yearbook by going directly to our yearbook vendor, Glamourcraft. So if you need information about that, feel free to reach out to Mr. Brian Day. He is one of our assistant principals on our website. You can email him and he can share that information with you. So again, we're just excited to have the opportunity for our kids to have some normal things like school pictures, yearbooks, and things like that. So for students that ride the bus to KCAL and to ROTC, they do need to have their ID because they scan that when they get on the bus. And that is how we're tracking who's riding each of our buses. If they don't have their ID yet, they are able to key in their ID number, but the goal is that all students will get to have their IDs on them. It's just a much quicker process. They can also scan their ID when they purchase lunch. And that's just, it allows us to have a touchless process there so that students aren't having to key in their ID on the keypad. So speaking of lunch, if you hadn't seen the email, and I know we all get a lot of emails, and I apologize, I feel like we are sending you guys a lot right now with emails that are required and then just sharing out our general information. So I apologize for all that, but you know, at this point in time, you know, some of those things are required that we have to send out. So I apologize, but district did send out an email earlier this week that Sodexo, our school lunch provider, is now able to offer free breakfast and lunch for students. And that starts next week. So next Wednesday, when the kids come back on campus, they will be able to get a free breakfast and free lunch. The free lunch is their standard lunch. It's their tray lunch. So it's their the meat, veggie, potatoes, milk. That's what will be free. But they will continue to offer a la carte items like maybe a burger or slice of pizza or things like that. That will be more a la carte, and kids can still purchase those items. So, but all students will be able to have the ability to get a lunch for free and then breakfast as well. So very excited to offer that for our students, for our families. Another exciting thing in the Commons is at lunches is we do have our microwaves back out and available for students to use that bring their own lunch. Took us a little bit to get those back available to our students, but we had to come up with a process. As you know, microwaves, there's a lot of touching that goes on. So we have enlisted our admin team that's on duty by our microwaves to make sure that those are getting wiped down along with our custodial teams to make sure those are getting wiped down regularly, having hand sanitizer available there as well so that we can keep those germ-free and just minimize the exposures there. So very excited to have that available for our students so they can bring their warm items that they want to heat up. So the next part, we had several questions when it comes to COVID-19 and quarantining. And so just a couple of things that I'm going to talk through there. Like I already shared, we do have about 68% of our students attending in person now. That is the largest of all the high schools in Keller ISD. The other high schools range from 47% to 56%. So we are definitely have the most students on campus, but probably by a couple hundred kids. So I am super proud of our efforts. I told staff this morning, the wearing the masks, the using the desk shields, the sanitizing processes that they're using in their classrooms are working. We are not seeing cases being spread in our classrooms or in our groups. So I'm very, very grateful for that. It just tells me that we're doing what we need to do here at school. And while we've had positive cases, from what we can track, those have come from outside into the building. So very, very thankful for all that we're doing here at campus and what you're doing out at home and in the community to minimize the spread of this virus. So one of the questions that we had asked about our positivity rate and if we were able to determine that. And unfortunately, that's not a statistic that we're able to keep because we don't always get notified. We rely on parents and our families to share when someone tests positive or someone's not feeling well or has COVID-like symptoms. And so that's the information we get. We don't always get information if someone goes and gets a test and they test negative. That doesn't always come to us. So we don't have really a good way to track that. Our current dashboard shows we have 10 active student cases, no active staff cases. And as far as quarantine students right now, it shows 147 students quarantined and 12 staff members quarantined. That's as of early this morning. And I know we had a large group of staff members come back today on campus. So I'm not sure if that number's been updated as of yet. But anyway, again, very proud. When you look at the numbers of kids that we have and people we have in this building every day, I'm grateful. While I would love to say we have 0 cases and not have to quarantine any students, unfortunately, that's just not, that's not our reality right now. But we're going to continue to work. We're going to continue to sanitize and clean. Our custodial staff is incredible. And the work that they do throughout the day and then in the evening to make sure our building gets cleaned really well and is ready for the next day, and hitting those high touch areas throughout the day. It's they're on the move all day long, and I really, really appreciate them and the work that they're doing to help minimize the spread here at Keller High. So as far as there's of course questions about how we compare with surrounding schools, and the only data I really look at, honestly, is just our dashboard, the Keller ISD dashboard. And you can get to that dashboard through, if you haven't looked at it, if you go to the kellerisd.net website, and you can click on, I think it's down the left-hand side, there's a thing that says COVID dashboard. And you can click on it and you can see all the schools in Keller ISD. It shows current active cases, it shows inactive cases, and it shows how many individuals are quarantined. So that's what I look at. I compare ourselves to other high schools, but again, for the school that has the most students and the most people in our building, I'm very proud of what our numbers look like. Again, wish we didn't have any, and I wish I didn't have to send kids home. That is the hardest thing to do right now. But unfortunately, it's the protocols that we have in place. There was a question asked about wearing masks and dust shields. And yes, we do have those in place. And yes, we're having students and staff continue to wear those. But unfortunately, those are just mitigation measures. They don't truly prevent the spread of the virus. So that is why we're continuing to follow the close contact process when we do contact tracing, which is within 6 feet for 15 minutes or more, and that's a cumulative. So that's the process we are still that we're following right now. That's guidance given to us by Tarrant County Health and the CDC, and also then through Keller ISD. So just looking kind of through my notes to make sure I cover all of those questions that you guys had asked. There were questions about the school calendar and would that change. So apparently there's rumors out there that we're not going to come back to school after Thanksgiving. I know there's a lot of colleges out there that are doing that. And, unfortunately or fortunately, no, as far as I know, we're coming back to school. Our school calendar is out there and we'll be back after Thanksgiving. The question was asked about the break after the winter break in January. And we will come back to school just like we normally would. I think the piece, though, that we would ask as you consider your plans and traveling and being around family and large groups and things like that, just be mindful of where your students are and who they're interacting with. I think it's not my place to recommend what you do or don't do, but I do know what we do ask is if you have been around someone who has tested positive for COVID, we ask that your student stay home, report that to the nurse so that we can talk through what the process is. If they're having any type of COVID-like symptoms, and that's a wide range of things, but please reach out to our nurse and she can kind of walk you through it. The last thing I want to do is have to have your students stay home, but I also don't want them to come if they're not feeling well and then spread the virus to others. So I think this really, through all of this pandemic, it really requires us all to work together to minimize the spread and to just so that we can keep doing what we want to do, which is going to school, having opportunities for our kids to participate in their extracurriculars, their clubs, student organizations, and things like that. So, and again, I appreciate you guys. You guys are doing a great job reaching out, letting us know. Shout out to our nurse, Miss Tram and Miss Hooker. They do an incredible job of just talking with parents and administrators, our staff, just trying to help answer those questions and make sure that we're following our processes. So another question that was asked, it kind of talked about shutdown parameters, and the question was asked toward the beginning of the school year. Fossil Ridge did shut down for a period of time. What I know is that if we were to see kind of a spread within a group of students, maybe it's in one specific classroom, maybe it's within a specific program, area, that program area could shut down, but it's based on the numbers of positive cases that are coming out of that specific group. So if we were to see a large group of positive cases coming within our building, that is something that we might have to consider doing. And how that works, it goes through obviously district leadership, and we work with Tarrant County Public Health to follow those the guidelines that TEA has in place for us to shut down and then have our building cleaned. The second thing that we have to consider is how many students are being quarantined, how many staff are being quarantined. Do I have enough teachers to teach the classes, to cover all of our classes? If we were to see a larger group of teachers either having positive cases or being quarantined, we might have to consider shutting down for a period of time, just because if we didn't have, enough teachers to be in the building. Because as you can imagine, we normally have lots and lots and lots and lots of subs. And I know many of our parents have stepped up and have volunteered and said, I'll sub, I'll come. And we truly, truly appreciate you coming and filling in when our teachers have to be off. Because not only is it quarantine, but they also have their own families and things that happen. And they do need to take time off from time to time. So if we were to ever get ourselves in a situation where we didn't have enough subs to cover all of our classes, that might be a reason that we would have to say, hey, are we able to continue to do school in person? But as of this moment, that has not happened. We have had enough folks to cover our classes, and we haven't had large outbreaks or large groups of positive cases from specific areas of the building. So we're able to continue to do in-person school, and which is great. It's great to have the kids back. I am grateful that they have the opportunity to come in person if they want to, and I'm grateful for our students and families that prefer the remote method. So I'm just grateful that we can offer both opportunities for our kids so that you can make the choice that's best for your family. So speaking of that, the next survey that's going to go out for you to make the instructional choice, should you want to change at the semester, the survey will go out to our families on November 12th, and it'll be due on November 19th. So be watching for emails in your inbox as far as that goes. That'll, like I said, that'll come out November 12th and be due back on November 19th. So just kind of looking through my notes. I've already talked about most of this. Our quarantine period kind of remains that 14 days. This is based on CDC guidelines and requirements of Tarrant County Health Department. So that's kind of, we're still following those same processes. So if you have any questions about those processes, please don't hesitate to reach out to myself, Nurse Trium, one of our assistant principals. While this was all new for us this year, we have worked through it and are still refining our process. So it's an ongoing thing. Every time, unfortunately, every time we have if we have a positive case, we follow our process, and sometimes we tweak things a little bit here and there just to make the process better. So I think that kind of covers everything COVID related. So we're kind of going to shift to a new opportunity, new support person that we have on our campus this year, and I'm very excited for it. We now have, it's a college and career counseling center, or our GO Center, and we have Dr. Randy Colvin. He is our college and career counselor. And I'm going to let him take a few moments and introduce himself, and then share about his role on campus and how he can support you and your students.
Thank you, Ms. Simmons. My name is Randall Colvin, and I'll say Randall because that's my email. It says randall.colvin@kellerisd.net. I'm the college and career counselor, also called college and career coach, and love being here and working with our students and our awesome staff. And so I can work with any student at our school. I can work with 9th through 12th grade. I would say, probably 80% of my students are seniors that are reaching out to me, or senior parents sometimes. And I have a link on our counselor website. And I would ask if you're interested, or your children are interested in talking to me or getting some extra help, please use that link. And it's a very good way for me to kind of be able to keep up with all the students who want to see me. And a couple things that we have going on. One, you may have seen we have some Zoom college visits. We were excited to have about over 20 this week, different colleges that we hosted on Zoom. And we will continue those for the next 2 or 3 weeks. And we also have some military visits, because that's also part of my position, is to help students who are interested in the military. So we're going to have some military visits in November. And something else that I'm excited about is starting November 16th, I'm going to have just an hour, 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock, where any student, I realize students get out at 4 o'clock, so they could maybe hop on a little bit later, even like at 4:30. It's just going to be an hour where I'll be on Zoom. I'm going to ask students to register ahead of time for that, so I know they're coming, and it's a time to look for scholarships. And so there are scholarships that students from any grade level can apply for. There are definitely more opportunities for seniors, but if your student is interested in that, please sign up. And so we'll have more information and ways to sign up for that. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Upton to talk about SAT.
Thanks, Dr. Colvin. One of the things that was asked in our questions that were posed to us really spoke to SAT testing and what that may look like in terms of preparation and things that we do through the school setting. And so I want to try to address that to the best of our ability. We definitely get into our junior classes and talk to our juniors about SAT preparation. We don't endorse a certain specific preparation pathway necessarily, but we definitely give options of what that looks like. And one of the things that I'll tell you guys as parents watching today is test prep is valuable, and any test prep that you would do before any type of test would be super important as we move through any of these testing opportunities. We've introduced SAT or school-based testing for PSAT, and we've done SAT and ACT through the school day, and I think that's going to be a great opportunity for our kids to be able to do so. But what I would say for parents, just to kind of address that question that came up about preparation for testing, is I would always ask a student to prepare before a test, whether that means using a practice test. PTSA has partnered with us over the years to provide practice tests through a test prep company for a nominal fee, or free if it's a free and reduced lunch student. Taking opportunities like that, and then if that connects you to a test prep company specifically, great. If that uses Khan Academy, that's great as well. But preparation is always critical and can be helpful even before the first test. One of the things I hear often from students and families is, I'm just going to go in and see how I do the first time, and that's fine. But I would say, let me prepare a little bit and see how I do the first time, and then let me really prepare the next time, see how I do. And then finally, the last thing that I'll add to this piece is that really SAT, ACT type tests are based on learning what goes on in school, and I believe very, very comfortably that our preparation occurs in our classroom. Our teachers provide rigorous curriculum and prepare our students to do well on that. If you look at our data across the board, we have test scores that are well above the state and national average, and I think that's a testament to our students and also to the curriculum and the learning that takes place within our classroom. So I hope that helps a little bit. Again, we'll go into junior classrooms very soon and talk about that and provide that information. And then in partnership with Dr. Colvin, as we move forward this year, we'll continue to promote these type of preparation pieces for our families. I think if we move on, the other piece that I was going to talk about this morning was going to be related to mental health resources. And this year has some unique challenges, right? I think as parents and as students and as staff, we're seeing a lot of additional stressors that may exist, maybe more anxiety about just general health, how school's functioning, working from home, learning in person. All these pieces are playing into an overall, perhaps an increase in mental health needs as we see that from the counseling side of things. But we just want to make sure briefly that when we look at mental health supports, there's some things that we can do that we may not think about being mental health supports, but really can impact mental health. Things like sleep hygiene, things like just making sure that your student is resting properly. If your student is a remote learner, perhaps some of those routines start to slip potentially. So just creating good routines and habits can be helpful. exercise or physical activity can be a real important aspect. So those two things, I'll just leave with that. The physical exercise or physical activity and sleep hygiene would be really simple things to help monitor with yourself and your student to help maintain their mental health. But beyond that, what we want you to make sure that you're aware of is that our counselors are available to all of our students. So make sure if you're concerned about something with your student, just reach out to your counselor. Email is probably the best way to just start a conversation. And maybe if they're here, we can check in on them in person. If they're remote, we can find a way to communicate via a Zoom with parent permission or a phone call, and just make sure that we're able to check in on our students. We also do have an intervention counselor that's staffed full-time on our campus. Miss Ebner is an LPC, and she does more of our high need students she'll work with or more ongoing supports. And so we want to make sure that we do have her on our campus as well. And within Keller ISD, the counseling department, there's counseling resources that are available that can be great to just as a parent, if you're curious and you want to know more about ideas on how to support a student that may be experiencing depressive symptoms or anxiety. There's just some great resources that have been collected on our counseling page. So I would direct you to that if you just want to learn more about it. So again, just making sure we're available to you in whatever setting that you may be in. Ms. Ebner as a secondary resource, as an escalated resource perhaps, and then just for some good informational pieces, looking at our counseling department for Keller ISD with some great resources there as well. Changing gears to an academic sense, a question has come up about grade averaging. How does grade averaging work in Keller ISD? When we have students that, across the board, in order to earn credit for classes at the high school level, you earn credit based on semester averages. So anything that is earned at a 70 or higher will earn a half credit per semester, and that's how credit is earned. And students have to get 26 credits to graduate. And so that's done on a semester basis. As you move through the year, though, one thing that is allowed in Keller ISD, just so that you're aware, is grade averaging is allowed. So if a student were to fail one semester, but then pass by a grade high enough to average out over the course of a year to a 70 or better, then a credit can be earned that way. So that question was asked, but I think it's important to recognize for any student that maybe struggled one semester that, not all is lost, that a student can in fact rally and do better in the second semester and be able to grade average. And that can be first or second semester. It doesn't have to be one versus the other, but we do grade average across the year. So a grade of 70 or better can in fact be attained for the yearly average, not just the semester, even though credit is earned on a semester basis.
Okay. Mr. Upton, is that all that you have?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Perfect. All right. So I just want to take a few minutes to go over the Aeries parent portal with you all. So obviously, as you know, we have shifted from Home Ec Center to Aeries this year. And with that, there's a bit of a learning curve as far as interacting with that platform. So to log into Aeries, you will go to the kellerisd.net homepage. About midway down the page is an icon that will take you to the Aeries parent portal. You can also get there. The way that I get there for my students is I simply go to Google, type in Keller ISD and Aeries, hit enter, and that first link is a direct link to the parent portal. So that's sometimes a quicker way to get there. When you log in, you'll see at the top a dashboard or a series of links that take you to the various parts of the portal. The first page is a dashboard that just kind of has an overview of important items related to your student. It has their list of classes, direct links to the grade books for those classes, and some attendance information, some other items there on the dashboard. You'll have a link to student info, which allows you to see their profile, their demographic information, contact information, that sort of thing. Those are all things that can be updated if needed by reaching out to us, to our registrar, Penny Henderson. She can update that information for you if there are any changes that need to be made. There's a link for attendance that provides you with a calendar where you'll be able to see your students' attendance for each day that they're at school. It has the school holidays marked on there as well. And then grades. So the grades page, when you click on that, you'll be able to see current grades for your student, as well as progress reports and their report cards on that screen. And we'll look at that a little bit closer here in just 1 second. On the classes tab, you'll simply see their schedule. The medical tab shows any specific medical information or alerts that we have on file that all of our campus administrators can see, so they're aware of any needs your student has. And if you have multiple students in the district, you can switch between each student by clicking on that Change Student button, and then you'll be able to select which student you would like to be able to view. So the grades part. So we just had the end of our first marking period and our first progress reports, or I'm sorry, report cards released. So when you click on grades, there are a couple of options that you'll have. The first is grade book, and that's where you're going to see current grades for classes in the current marking period that we're in. You'll see gradebook details link. You'll see a standards-based report card link, which only applies to pre-K, kinder, and first graders. And then to see report cards, you'll click on the link that says simply grades. When you click on that, you'll have a list of classes, and then you'll have columns that show the IPR, that's the progress report grades, so the 3-week or 6-week progress reports. And then you'll have an RC column, a report card column, and that is where you'll find their grades for their courses that are their final marking period grades. So I think that about sums it up for Aeries. There's obviously a lot more to it. There are links on the Aeries page on the KellerIC.net homepage that will explain in a little more detail some of the functions that the parent portal has for Aeries. But of course, if you have any questions or if you're running into issues, certainly reach out and let us know, and we will help you work through those things.
Great, thanks, Mr. Montemayor, Mr. Upton, Dr. Colvin. I appreciate you guys and the information that you've shared. Hopefully you found some of that information helpful. I know Mr. Upton talked a little bit about SAT. We are also going to be offering the SAT school day for our junior students. That will come in the spring. I believe it's early March is the date for that, but so they will have an opportunity to take it here on campus. So that's something that was added last year. And like I said, we do pay for all of our junior students to take that exam on that specific day. So more details will be shared as we get through after we get through this first semester, so that our kids can mark the calendar for that day. So as far as just an update on where we're at technology-wise, Wi-Fi, that has continued to be an ongoing part of our conversation here. Our teachers are using a lot more technology in the classroom, and so when it doesn't work right, it does become frustrating. And so we have had technicians on campus this week, I think every day this week, and they're here again this morning, just being available to our staff in troubleshooting any issues that might arise and just trying to work to the best they can to improve our service. And they have identified a few issues and are now working to make sure that our students and our staff are all using the proper network, not using an old network that we used to have, and things like that. So they've also upgraded all of our network switches. That was happened a few weeks ago. And then we have seen improved service just over the last couple of days based on things that I'm hearing or not hearing, because usually I hear when there's a lot of issues and that's not happening. And talking to the tech this morning, he said that they have things have improved over the week, and a lot of it had to do with students having access to an old network that's not very well supported right now. So we do still have Chromebooks available to check out to students. So if you have a student that's coming to campus and doing work on their smartphone, they can get a Chromebook. We prefer they just get to come and check out a Chromebook, and they can keep it and go back and forth. And that way, if they happened, if they need it up on the weekend or in the evening to upload an assignment or something like that, have them come by and stop by and see the librarian and get a Chromebook, or they're welcome to bring their own device as well. So we're either way. along those lines, something that's been a conversation for a while and continues to be a conversation is the student learning platforms. We have Google Classroom and we have Canvas, and I know that's a challenge. And then we have Backpack, which is where the kids can find their online textbooks and things like that. And so I know this is a challenge for our families. I know it's a challenge for our students. I meet with a group of students 4 times a year, and representative of all grade levels, different walks of paths that they each have here at Keller High and things they're involved in. And so it's a pretty broad group and a pretty diverse group of kids. And so they have shared with me too the challenge of having to navigate between multiple platforms, whether it be Google Classroom and Canvas. And the challenging part of all of that is you can talk to any given student or staff member, and they each will say good things about each of those platforms. And so the challenge I have as a campus leader is recognizing that it would be much easier for everyone if we were all on the same platform. It's trying to determine what is that platform, what does that look like, how do we support our staff that's using a different the other platform. And so those are ongoing conversations. I hear you. I understand it. I apologize. We are having conversations about what it would look like to shift to one platform. But it's something that does require some time. It's going to require some training on our part. So I'm not sure how quickly that we will move on that at this moment, because right now the focus for our teachers is being able to provide high quality instruction for our kids. But I hear you, and I'll commit to you that we're going to continue talking about this and then determining a path forward in the coming months. So if you have questions, you're struggling with one platform or the other, please let me know, because I have people that can help you and help walk you through it. So and I've told the kids the same thing. There's a lot of resources that we have. So please reach out if you're struggling and you can't find this, or you don't have access with that. I have people, we can all jump on a Zoom and kind of walk you through some different pieces of it. So so please let us know if you're struggling, so that we can help you, because this truly, as in all years, it's a partnership between us and you to provide the highest quality education that we can. And especially this year in these challenging times, it's both of us working hand in hand. So to meet the needs of your students. So please reach out, but please know I hear your concerns. I understand them. And we're going to continue to work through it and see how we can make that better as we move forward in the coming months. So some other specific questions that you had related to the stadium. So the sound at the stadium, I know that is a challenge because we're there, every week for events. And so that is something I will bring to the attention of Eric Persine. He is the athletic director for Keller ISD. And so I will make sure that he's aware of the concerns and also the funding side of things. Because he is a big part of the funding for athletic programs and how that's established. So if you have more specifics, if that was your question and you want more specifics, please feel free to email me. But I will share both of those items with him so that he is aware and can maybe take some steps forward, at least in getting the sound improved. So another parent had shared if there was any opportunities for virtual tutoring. In the past, we've always had students, usually NHS kids or kids getting Green Cord hours, that would offer to tutor students, and they would do it here on campus or various areas. Unfortunately, with COVID and all the health protocols that we have in place, that is not something that we haven't been able to set up. But I appreciate the parent that shared this idea, because we could do something similar via Zoom. So we are going to work with our NHS sponsors and our Green Cord sponsor and just see what that would look like, because I do see value in that and an opportunity it's a great opportunity for students who are comfortable tutoring to earn maybe some volunteer hours. And then it's a win on the other side for our students that are struggling to learn and to get some extra support outside of the school day. So we are going to continue to explore that as we go through these next few weeks and see what we can get together and how that might work to do that in a virtual platform. So I appreciate that. upcoming holidays, I just want to make sure you're aware of, but Monday and Tuesday next week are student holidays. And Tuesday is a staff professional development day. So they will be, your staff will be working that day. We do have Thanksgiving break coming up, and then the winter break coming up with our semester exams. We have a couple early release days there, December 17 and 18, and then that winter break. So Mr. Montemare, did we have any other questions that came up through the little chat box there?
Yeah, no questions that haven't already been answered in the chat. I will say, I think we had a little bit of trouble with the YouTube Live link going out. So we've had some more folks join us just recently. If you joined us late, of course, after the video or after the live session is over, the video will be available to play back. So you can always go back to the beginning and catch up on what you missed.
Sure, and we apologize for that. I got a text saying that we didn't have the link posted. So we're gonna work on making sure we've got that posted in a spot where you can find that. So I apologize for that. We did have one question that came through that was shared with us in advance, but it related to a specific student question related to a biology course. So when you guys share those questions, I don't collect, they're submitted anonymously. I don't collect email addresses. So if that was your question, please reach out to myself, Mr. Upton, so we can work through that situation. But like I said, it related to a specific student. So I would have to look at the specific situation to get a better answer to your question. So again, I appreciate all you are doing to partner with us, support. I appreciate the grace and patience that you are showing to us as we just continue to work through this school year. I'm again proud of our students, our staff for all they are doing. Grateful that we can continue to offer in-person learning, and that's a large part of what everybody is doing, doing their part to ensure we're following protocols and whatnot as we go through. So I appreciate you guys, and please reach out if you have any questions or concerns. We're here to help. A lot of times I get emails and I'm so sorry to bother you, but do you know about this? And a lot of times, it's things I wasn't aware of. So please feel free to email me, reach out, because if you're having questions or concerns, the chances are pretty good that it's not just you, there's others in the same boat. And so we want to be able to respond and address those, or if it's an issue, we want to be able to solve the issue too. So again, thank you for your partnership, for your support. I appreciate you joining us today. Thank you to PTSA. If you're not a member of our PTSA, they're huge supporters of our campus and our teachers and do things throughout the year to support us. So just really appreciate them. I hope you have a great long weekend. Mr. Upton, Mr. Montemare, Mr. Colvin, anything else you guys need to add before we go? No?
I think so.
Okay, I think that's it then. So again, if there's a question or something we missed, please reach out, let us know. Thank you, appreciate you. Thank you for joining us. And I hope you have a great Friday and enjoy the long weekend.